So last year, during No Gravity Games 12 Days of Christmas, I was introduced to a series that I really liked. Most of the games that were offered were pretty cool, but none caught me as much as Creepy Tale. And when I learned that the whole thing was going to end with Creepy Tale 2, I was even more excited, as I got to play both of those games in a relatively short order. Both of the games told stories of rather innocent people or children who were kind of lost in the woods and end up in these weird situations with like these demonic creatures and this very disturbing environment. There was so much about the imagery itself that was just, well, creepy, earning its title as it is. And this set of games pits you in a different way than most are used to. You see, there is no combat. You cannot fight these monsters. They will destroy you. And like I said, usually you're like a child and someone who's just not ready for this horde of monsters to come attack you. And that's what this game really does pit you against. And most of the game has to deal with your ability to solve puzzles and your stealth, as you're always looking for a way out. That's the whole goal of the first two games, is how to find a way out of this dangerous situation. So as I saw the third one being released, Creepy Tale, Ingrid's Penance, I knew I had to check it out. Really, I was ready for the exact same thing. And in so many ways, that's what this game offers, but it does tell a different story. You see, yes, you still are a child, but you are a very horrible child. And this game starts off with you getting a loaf of bread from your mother, as you're of course giving her attitude about it, and you have to go deliver it to your grandma and spend some time with her, as again you're lamenting this whole thing. Well, you come across this kind of puddle of mud, and you don't want to get your shoes wet, so what do? You throw that loaf of bread in the puddle and jump on it so that you can use that to platform over this muddy puddle. But instead, you end up falling. You fall for forever, it seems like, until you are greeted by some witches who are more than likely ready to eat you as they're making dinner. Although Ingrid doesn't really care and isn't fazed, as she's just more angry and demands to be returned back to her home. Unfortunately for Ingrid, these witches have no plan of returning her. With your help, Ingrid quickly finds a way to distract these witches and is able to get out of that situation, only to go to a much darker situation, honestly. But at least this time she's met with a maybe friend. As one of the demons is actually kind of talkative, a little guy who kind of is rooting for Ingrid. In so many ways, he explains what's going on and the fact that she has to pay for the things that she's done and she has to repent. So he shows her a waterfall of sorts, tells her to stick her hands in there, and when she does, it burns, but she is able to see how many sins that she's committed and how many good deeds that she's done. Essentially, she needs to find a way out of this multi-level dungeon while also committing good deeds instead of sins. So this is where the player really plays a big role. Not only are you doing the puzzle solving, but you're also trying to do it in a morally good way. Yeah, some of that is kind of muddled because the fact is you are the one being captured by these evil demons who are planning to eat you, kill you, use your energy. You'll find out more as you play the game, but the point is they're the ones who are doing bad things to you, yet you can't kill them, basically, or you can't do dirty tricks. I don't know. So, like I said, some of that is a bit confusing on what is a good way to do things and what's a bad way to do things. There are many times in these puzzles where I noticed that I would pick up both a good deed and a sin, and I didn't know what I did. Like, I wasn't sure which one did what. But there are subjectively good things that you can do. For instance, there's other children that are trapped down there, and helping them find their final resting place is one of those things that you can do. And there's also a few monsters who don't want to outright eat you, and maybe helping them out also will be a good deed, as well as just the way that you answer questions sometimes. You have the ability to do bad things or to make bad decisions that aren't wrapped in a puzzle, so they're more right up there in front of you and you can make the right decision as you see fit. But for me, the best part of this game is the same thing that's held this series together for so long. It's the puzzles. They're great. They're difficult enough. They give you enough of a challenge, but not too much of a challenge. Very, very rarely have I found myself wanting to find a guide or a walkthrough or something to help me figure out a puzzle. They're the type of puzzles where the more that you try to figure them out, the easier it gets, and you'll have success just by kind of messing around the edges and trying to figure out exactly what you're even supposed to be doing. And once you do, it really becomes clear to you on how to solve the puzzle and how to move forward. So ultimately, I really did enjoy this game. I think that Ingrid offers something completely different to the series, and honestly, it's something that I really think it needed. You see, because the game wasn't all gloom and doom and despair and dark like it always is. It had a little bit of humor to it, because just of Ingrid. She's a horrible person, but it's the horrible person that you kind of like. You know, sort of like the English version of The Office, or if you've seen Veep. You know, the main characters are so off-putting, but yet you kind of like them because they make you laugh, and that's kind of what Ingrid does at times. It's also a little bit more dramatic when you see her actually become upset. And I think that actually makes the game hit harder when there is despair, when there is sadness, because you don't really get a joy out of watching her suffer or feel bad. You more experience that with her, and you say, well, if this character who's been so tough, you know, halfway through this game or even at the beginning of the game, if she feels at a loss right now, it must really be devastating. And so I do think that that's also what makes this game hit just a little bit harder. This game has a little bit more than the other ones, although I will say that I think that series fans are gonna also like this one. Yeah, it doesn't stray too far from the mainline series or from what we've known with 1 and 2. It really stays in that same lane, but just offers a little bit more. And I really appreciate that about it. I think they did a great job with this game, and if I was going to give it a score, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10, and that's with all aspects figured in. As far as performance, visuals, value, all of those things are really pretty solid. I mean, there was no problems with performance. I think the visuals look great. Some could argue that they already have a template for this, but we appreciate the visuals. We like that ambience, and that's why we enjoy these games, so I'm glad they stayed with that. Something I also haven't really mentioned is voice acting, which is done really well. Just little things like this really show that they improve a little bit every step, adding a little bit more polish to an already good product. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Creepy Tale, Ingrid's Penance. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I love you all. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.